On our dailies this week, we've been talking about the crisis in Europe. There's a meeting that is going to be taking place this week to once again, among all the leaders, try to come up with a solution to the ongoing financial crisis that threatens to dissolve the entire European Union, the Eurozone, and reorder the entire shape of Europe and create bigger problems for other countries around the world. What exactly is taking place here as we watch this? You know, last week there was a pre-summit meeting between four big leaders of the Eurozone. They had Italy, France, Spain, and of course Germany meet in a pre-meeting to try to work out a solution in advance of the larger meeting of everyone that will be taking place later this week. They didn't really come up with any solution. Nothing really more than having Germany open up their wallets to try to fund Spain, Italy, Greece, and some of the other weaker countries that are having financial problems. And Germany essentially said no, not without certain other guarantees. What they are moving toward and what they are wanting and what everyone really sees is the need for a larger and more centralized fiscal and political control by a central authority within Europe and this entire European project to guarantee the stability and the forward movement of the entire Eurozone. That is something they have not had. A number of years ago, they came up with the euro, the common currency, and several nations signed on to that and gave up, including all of these here, gave up their own national currencies to the euro. But behind that, there was no ability to rein in other countries and governments that did not live within their budget, live within the stated guidelines. And as a result, we've built over the years to a crisis where we have today Greece on the verge of exiting the Eurozone, and a crisis with Italy and especially Spain that some consider are too big to really fail, now on the brink of bankruptcy because of their high debts and the high interest rates they're paying on that debt. Germany remains the sole large nation there that has the money and the liquidity to not only fund these others, but to keep going itself. And of course, what everyone does realize is the need for a central authority that has the political and fiscal control. To create that larger, more dominant power within Europe is something that is needed, as the experts say, to keep the project moving forward. If you look at what has taken place over the decades in Europe, compare that with the United States, you see a difference. The United States, from its inception, has had a central authority, political authority in Washington. It has had a central ability to control the monetary and fiscal policies of the entire country and the individual states, and it's been able to manage that through its history and had the success that it does. The European project did not have that and doesn't have it today. Everyone realizes that it must have. Now, to get to that point, that is the real issue that brings us into the realm of Bible prophecy. We look at this region of the world. We've done so in our articles, in our publications, and on other episodes of Beyond Today Television, where we have identified very clearly what the Bible prophecy shows to be a political and religious power that will be coming out of this area of the world. When we look in Revelation chapter 17, and also in Revelation 17, beginning in verse 13, it talks about these powers ceding their control to one central authority. Let's read that and see what it says. It says, "These 10 horns which you see are 10 kings who have received a kingdom as yet, but they receive no power for 1 hour as kings with the beast. These are of one mind, and they will give their power and authority to the beast." The beast is a political power that rises in this part of the world at the time of the end. 10 other leaders, it says, give their power to the beast. Are we looking at what may be forming in some type of a crisis before an even larger crisis down the road that will allow this particular prophecy to come to pass? Where leaders take their power, they give their sovereignty, they give their freedom to one central authority, one central political power in order to safeguard the stability of all the other nations and peoples of this particular region and to allow that project to move forward, thinking that they're doing something good, and yet Bible prophecy shows that it will unleash a different power, unlike any that has ever been seen on the face of the earth to that point. We are watching some dramatic events take place in Europe at this particular period of time, a crisis before another crisis perhaps that will result in this. But it is important to watch what is taking place in Europe among these nations in the Eurozone, the crisis of economics that is there. It is impacting the world today and will do so in a much larger way down the road. That's BT Daily. Join us next time.